Welcome back to our special summer series where we're embarking on a journey back in time to explore some of the key moments and timeless insights from our previous episode. This week, we're revisiting episode 4 and we're delving into the invaluable insights from Jay, a senior product solutions manager in the UK's dynamic asset management industry. Join us as we revisit important lessons from embracing career flexibility to harnessing the power of mentorship, from uncovering opportunities in adversity to mastering natural networking tips. These timeless lessons are sure to inspire your own professional journey. So let's get started and discover the enduring wisdom of Jay. Enjoy. Right, Jay, let's go back to the beginning. I want to hear where it all started now. But first, what did you want to be when you were a little kid?
So, oh gosh, I had a terrible time deciding what I was going to do. First, I wanted to be an optometrist.
Eyes?
Well, I knew I wanted to work in a hospital. Yeah, so I did work experience in a hospital. Then I did with a nurse. Then I did work experience in Moorfields Eye Hospital with an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. Yeah, I mean, thankfully I did all that because I realized it really wasn't for me. So, but by then I had already started, my A levels in chemistry, biology, and I did economics and business because I wasn't sure. So it was like I was always just not sure. So that's how it happened. And then I ended up doing a degree in biochemistry, which was fascinating, and I would not take it back. But for a long time, I just realized that I was really interested in a subject, but I knew that I didn't want to work in the field or do anything with it. So there was a lot of competing, kind of objectives. The desire to learn versus the desire to also figure out what the hell I want to do. And it wasn't easy.
Yeah. How did you figure out what was the path in those early years?
Yeah, so I decided I've given healthcare plenty of chances and it's just not for me. And by then I just graduated. And so I decided that I would look for ways to, I didn't know anything about banking, asset management. And I graduated in 2008, at the height of the credit crisis. And for me, I grew up in Tower Hamlets, in the shadows of Canary Wharf, and everything, watching it all throughout my life. And I decided that it's probably not the best time, but actually through adversity, there's probably a lot of new opportunities that could be created if I was to just be able to get my foot in the door. So I didn't know anything about the industry, so I joined a employability program, and it was run by Tower Hamlets Council, and it was designed to help people in the local community who live in Tower Hamlets, specifically because of the close association with Canary Wharf. So people from the local area who wouldn't not even graduated. And the objective was to just help understand the industry a bit more, do the qualification, the IAQ, with the Securities and Investment Institute, to learn, employability skills. So we had, group sessions where we're given different tasks, and then individual tasks, video interviews where we'd film each other and then review each other's work. We would also, we had to actually go around the room, and it was a bit like The Apprentice. We had to all explain like why we deserve to work in the industry. It was a really strange process. to go through, but I'm really glad that I did because it taught me a lot of resilience. And I managed to through that get my internship at Citigroup. And so there were 60 of us in the program, and there were 11 internship opportunities, which were only 1 month unpaid
Yeah.
internships. So not even that fantastic when you think about it now, but back then in 2008, at the height of the credit crunch, you're going to take whatever you can get. And so yeah, I was fortunate enough to get one of the 11 internships. And from the 11 internships, they had 3 jobs. And luckily, I got one of the 3 jobs as well. And that's how I started working in the industry. That's how I got my foot in the door. um, it was a really good time
Mm.
because, soon after there was a 2-year recruitment freeze. Um, and so, just having my foot in the door meant that I could start my learning
Yeah.
process, learning about what does everyone
Yeah.
do. Yes, I've got my job in operations. I started in operations, but I spent 5 years there learning about manager research. What does an equity researcher do? What does a portfolio manager do? The different parts of the business, how do they work? And then in my team, what do our clients want? How can we make things better for them? And so I rolled out a whole process for client onboarding there, which took me out of the scope of my role. But I really enjoy doing that because then I'm always learning ways that I can add value in from different perspectives. So yeah, it was a really good way to get into the industry, I would say.
Yeah.
So what Citigroup did was allow me to understand asset managers better because my clients were asset
Ah.
managers. And um, yeah, so it was a difficult
Mm.
transition because the two businesses are very different. However, they are interlinked in many ways. And so in the investment bank, what I was doing is helping asset managers to manage the corporate actions and the trade processing that was taking place on their portfolios. Um, and so when I interviewed for Russell Investments, which is an asset manager, um, they really appreciated the background knowledge that I had around what it takes to really service those assets from a technical perspective. And that technical knowledge, the reason why it's so valuable is because when you move into asset management, um, you know there is a lot of technical projects that need momentum. So it needs someone who is really driven to get results. So you need to be outcome orientated. You need to really want to understand how things work, and you need to be a people person to be able to get people to, or teams that don't report to you to want to help you to complete your change activity. So I think that the jump was really good for me. I literally went from the middle office working in operations to the investment team. And at Russell Investments, I was the implementation specialist who would sit within the portfolio management investment committee. And and that was fascinating because I finally got to hear portfolio managers debating their best thinking around changes that they want to make in the portfolios, holding each other to account. Why do you want to make the changes? And I did a lot of my learning in that forum.
Yeah. And one of the things that I just wanted to pick up on from your time at Citigroup is you talked about getting involved in other projects and finding other ways to add value. And I think that can be a really great way of not only exploring other, opportunities within a company to see if those are a good match for you, but it can also be a way of showcasing your skills and your knowledge to other people in other departments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that transferable skills is key. I mean, having done a degree in biochemistry, you know, everything I know is on the job learning. I've done my investment management certificate, which is a professional qualification that I need to get in order to do my job. However, I would say that most of my learning is definitely on the job. And so it's really important that you're constantly looking for ways to expand your horizon and learn learn about what other people do and how you can add value to different parts of the business. I love the idea that everybody in the business is working towards a common goal. And so whatever you can do to you know, find ways to reduce friction, bottlenecks in processes, setting out best practice. Clients are complaining because this particular thing is very slow. Well, then let's find out why it's slow. Let's have conversations and see if there's ways to do things better. And I think just from thinking about things in a very client driven way, giving our clients the best outcome, helps you to navigate your own career, but also within the business, to really showcase your talent.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Thank you, Jay. So, when you look back on this career journey from biochemistry student to where you are now, tell us about the highs or what went well on that journey.
I'd say there's been a lot of things that have gone really well. So at Citigroup, I met my best friends. Um, it's one of those places. I think operations, like the vibe in an operations department is unrivaled, because the volumes are really high. The working culture is very tough. You need to be very resilient and develop your backbone there. And through that tough work, you make the most incredible bonds with people. And so, some of my best friends are from my Citigroup days. And then coming into Russell Investments, I would say the highs there was definitely just the fact that I never thought I would be privileged enough to work with so many talented portfolio managers, um, even working with such great quality HR, specialists, compliance experts, working with that caliber of skill set. It really helped me develop my own personal style and brand, and the way that I present myself by by working with that great caliber of people. Um, and then at SEI Investments, I was able to kind of take that confidence that I've got from watching other people and how they do things, and taking my own style, and then really adding value by then doing really innovative things around technology, and and kind of adding my own flavor to the way that I develop processes, um, the whole onboarding program, the way I'm structuring new programs. So yeah, so I would say there's a lot of highlights. Each place teaches you a different thing about people, work, and also yourself.
Yeah, thank you. And what about I guess, the most challenging parts of the journey, or any, I guess, limiting beliefs you had to overcome, or any failures?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think you always come in with an element of I don't know what I'm doing, and imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of people get. Whether it doesn't matter who you are, at some point, it feels like you probably are, in a position where you are probably not comfortable that you know enough to be there. And and so that was a real limiting belief for me, because I felt like I didn't deserve to be there, or I'm winging it, or, I don't know enough. And I think that's what I've come to learn, is that those moments where you feel like that, there's a real value in those, because it means that you're being stretched in a way, in a good way, in a way that you're going to learn. And that learning curve might be very, very steep. However, the more that you're able to just, take it on, um, and just do your best, what you realize is that people around you are human, and
Yeah.
they will understand that you are young, coming into a new industry, and everybody has had to learn on the job. And so there is a lot of grace, which I was really, really grateful to have. And people, as long as, people could see that in the investment committee, when my first investment committee, for example, and I'm like, wow, I have no idea what a portfolio is. Like, literally, I don't know what to say. And I was quiet for a long time. I couldn't find my voice, because I had just had no idea what anyone was talking about. And I think there was so much patience and grace around just giving me that time. And it literally was like learning a new
Yeah.
language, for me. And I could see it over time, over the course of a few months. It takes months, for you to finally start to understand how things are pieced together, and then, what questions to ask. So, I would say, don't put too much pressure on yourself to have all the answers. It's really okay not to know, as long as, that you don't just sit there and say, I don't know. You need to definitely have that drive to or desire to want to know, and go out there and find out. And that is literally all people want and appreciate.
Yeah. And I think you're right. Imposter syndrome is something that everybody suffers from, no matter who you are. And you've just told us about that great grace that those organisations gave you. And sometimes we just need to give ourselves a bit of grace. Jay, can you tell us about the role of mentors or role models or sponsors, and how that's impacted your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the role of a mentor is crucial, especially in times when you're feeling uncomfortable, and you're feeling stretched, or like you're suffering from, the fear of failure. Or it's so important to have someone to go to with an objective view of your situation, someone to bounce ideas off. And I think that, for a young girl like me coming into the industry, just seeing somebody doing, doing something that I admired, was really valuable, because visual representation is key. We talk about manifestation, right? It is literally manifestation. So whether your mentor is, of the same sex or opposite sex, whoever they are, they could be from a different background. Just having time and, understanding how someone is operating at that more senior level, I would say is so key, to helping you understand your own style, how you want to come across and show up in the world, and at work. So from, not just a career perspective, but also from a personal perspective, and managing work-life
Yeah.
balance. How do other people do it? It's you learn through having great mentors, whether it's official or unofficial. I would say that I've never had an official mentor. I've always sort out, um, you know, people, mostly women. It's just worked out for me that way. I connect very well with women. I've always sought out women who are who I admire or I feel as though are successful because I want to be successful myself. And so, it's usually very natural. For me, it's when I'm meeting someone in the kitchen and I'm asking, so what do you do? And then the next time in the kitchen I see them, I'm like, oh, I'd love to learn more about what you do. Do you mind if we go for a coffee? And then you just go for like once a month coffee meetings, where you bounce off ideas about what you do and what they do. So it doesn't have to be a formal mentorship program because a lot of companies don't do that very well, unfortunately. So I would say don't let that stop you. It's so important that you find someone who you can turn to when you're struggling. Someone who you don't necessarily work directly with, who has an objective view of your situation. Um, and it doesn't have to be within your company. It could be in a different organization. But it definitely helps to have someone with the same industry knowledge, just so they can appreciate the complexities around the dynamics that you're in. I would say that would
Yeah.
help.
Yeah, those are great tips. And I think, like you said, it doesn't have to be a formal program, and also you touched on networking there. Some people really struggle with networking, but like you say, if you're just bumping into somebody in the kitchen, and it's oh, what do you do? And then the next time, oh, I'd love to know more. Could we get a coffee? That's I think most people would be able to do that in an informal situation in the kitchen, and that could lead to a lovely friendship where that could be really helpful for actually both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, I struggle with, networking, just kind of sending someone an email and asking them, oh, I'd love to know more about your job. Let's meet, in that kind of formal capacity through an email. I really struggle with that, to be honest. I'm definitely, especially as a female, networking with men, because, let's face it, the industry is still male dominated. Um, it's it needs to be a lot more natural and so I've definitely had more success networking with men just naturally, in the kitchen or just walking over to their desk if it's someone that I need to work with in some capacity, spending a little bit more time just asking how they are. How are the
Yeah,
kids? What did you get up to this weekend? And you know and just by doing that over time, you build a strong network of relationships, both male and female. So it can be more challenging, I would say, being a female, but if you do it in a natural way, I think, yeah, just take it could be very, very, let's face it, your network is your strength, to be honest, in the long term. Because as you move up the ladder, you need people to vouch for you, or you need sponsors, um, and you will always look to your network for that
yeah.
in whatever
Yeah,
capacity.
and I think it's so important to find what works for you, whether that is like the conversation in the kitchen or sending that email. 9 times out of 10, that person on the receiving end of that question or email is going to be like, oh my goodness, of course, I'd love to tell you more. Sure, let's do it. So, and
Yeah,
if they don't reply, it's probably just because they're busy.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So ask the question or send the email.
I mean, I've never had anyone, turn me down for a coffee meeting to discuss, just general conversation, get to know each other, find out what we do, that kind of thing. So yeah, yeah, no one is going to say no.
Yeah. Jay, you touched on soft skills, which I
Yeah,
think sometimes
absolutely.
they're thought of as less than the technical skills, but to your point, they're so important, especially when it comes to leadership and teamwork and actually being able to navigate organizations. So what soft skills do you think are important in product solutions?
In product solutions specifically, I would say you're you need to really want to drive results, and and that means that you need to encourage or empower people around the business to want to help you succeed in delivering whatever it is that you need to do for the client. Now, that you're working with very different people. So there is a real skill around bringing people along the journey, understanding how different people work, how to communicate what it is that you're trying to do to each person in a tailored way, such that they will feel engaged with your outcome and want to help you. So, a lot of the soft skills are around influencing, um, coordinating people, making sure people are in the loop. Communication is has to be your number
Yeah,
one. Um, you know, um, yeah, communication has to be number one. Being organized, number two. And then I would say the third one is, yeah, like wanting to drive results. You have to be result driven,
yeah.
because it is a deadline driven environment in the day.
Yeah, and you make a good point because those people that you need to influence to engage in the project, they may have 10 other projects happening, right? And or different priorities as part of their
Yeah,
role too. So, yeah, I can see why relationship management and influence and persuasion skills are so important there.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the more you can influence and persuade, um, and do that with self assurance, the more you will succeed. Definitely, it is such a powerful kind of trio of skills, that whatever it is that you want to do, or change that you want to roll out, or a new product idea, the more you can influence, persuade with self assurance, the more you are likely to be able to get the backing, get the money that you need to be able to roll out a new technology solution or whatever it is that you want to do. Um, yeah, it's very important.
Now, Jay, as we move towards wrapping up, I'd really love to know, when you was just starting out, what do you know now that you wish you'd known then?
Okay, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is probably that don't wait for people to recognize your contribution and give you a pay rise and a bonus because you've worked really hard. What I know now is that you need to champion yourself. Be your own cheerleader. You have to do it. It's so cringy, and I'm terrible at it still. However, it's such an important thing to be able to do, you know. And what I do now is just set up a folder in my outbox, and every time somebody says, "Thank you so much for helping me with this. You really added value," or when I finish a project and I get a pat on the back from the manager, I save those in a folder so that at the end of the year, when I'm doing my appraisal, I can quickly scroll through the emails and remind myself of all the good work that I've done, and really quickly be able to just articulate it and vouch for myself in a way that doesn't feel fake. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think we struggle to do it with, in an authentic
Yeah.
way. But really finding your own way or style when it comes to promoting yourself, is really important. And you know, yeah. So I think that's the main one. No one ever told me that you have to ask for a pay rise.
It's because they were hoping you wouldn't ask. Well, all
Yeah.
the audience know now, and that is the main thing. And what would you say to your younger self who is doing her A levels, who's thinking about working with eyes, an optometrist, and is going off to do biochemistry? What
Yeah.
what would you say to that younger self? When you were not quite sure what to do and which direction to go in.
I I basically told myself that right now, your purpose is to learn something that you're really passionate about. Just do a subject that is you're going to be able to do in a lot of detail for 3 years because you want to come out with a good grade. If I did a 3 year degree in economics, I really don't think I would have done that
Mm-hmm.
well, honestly. But because I did a degree in biochemistry, which was a subject that I was just naturally really interested in, I was able to sit there day in, day out and do what it takes to get to the end. So at the time, I just told myself, you're studying biochemistry because it's a subject that you're really interested in. And while you're studying that, you will also have a think about what jobs you want to do, and with a goal that by the end of the 3 years, you will have decided what industry at least that you want to be in. So I really didn't put much pressure on myself to figure out the exact
Mm-hmm.
role because I didn't know what asset management was. I didn't know what investment banking, what it took, what the different roles were, um, or or accountancy, insurance. What do any of these actually mean? So I really didn't put pressure on myself. I just decided that once I graduate, I'll pick an industry and I would get my foot in the door. And when I'm there, then I'll figure out what people do and where I see myself. Because otherwise, how am I going to ever visualize where I want to be, Now, if you can give yourself comfort that that journey is worthwhile taking and the patience that that requires, then that can really work for you. We've got a lot more access, as you pointed out, Joe, to LinkedIn and information on different jobs and what they entail. And so, with that access, maybe I would have done some, things differently. But in hindsight, just being able to give yourself that freedom to just learn and stay young a little bit longer was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of time that we're going to be working for 40, 45, probably 50 years in the future. So I think that's really great
Right.
advice. Choose a subject that you enjoy and that you can be passionate about and you can throw yourself into the study of and then do well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And enjoy the process of learning, a new subject in such a degree. You're at the forefront of change, when you're studying biochem at university level, you really are learning from the best.
Yeah. Jay, have you got an inspirational quote or expression that helps you stay on track in life?
For me, in life, oh gosh, there's a few that I really like. My brother always told me that you should hope for the best, but prepare for the
Mm-hmm.
worst. And that doesn't mean be a pessimist and always, always think about the worst outcome. Or, we should always hope that things will work out, but just make sure that you're preparing for a situation where things don't go your way, a plan B. And I think that's, definitely helped me out in a lot of situations. And then I would say the other quote that's always helped me is, you know, dare to dream big. You know, why limit yourself to a small dream when, you know, you can think a bit bigger by seeing how people do things differently. So yeah, that's not really a quote, but yeah, dream
Dream
big.
big. Yeah, I love that. I really love that. Thank you. One of mine is, if you're thinking of doing something, it's the best time to start was a year ago. The next best time to start is tomorrow. And I think that's really good for when you're putting off a decision or something that you know you want to do, but you're just procrastinating over because you're a bit scared or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to use that. I need a new quote. Thank you.
Jay, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really, really fascinating. I feel like we've learned a ton about the investment management industry, a ton about product solutions, and you've given us so much great advice. So I found it really valuable, and I know that the audience is going to find it so valuable too. So
Oh,
before we say goodbye, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience before we go?
well, firstly, Joe, thank you so much for having me. This has been such an awesome conversation. Um, before I go, I would say that the asset management industry is really, really struggling to recruit people from diverse backgrounds, from every, diverse, segment of society that you can
Yeah.
think of. Please, please, don't feel as though the industry is not for you. Things are changing. It's a very welcoming industry. Um, and we really need people to apply. So don't be afraid. Put your hat in the ring, and you never know where it could lead you. So please be brave and join me in asset management.
Thank you, Jay. That was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining Jay and I today. We really hope you enjoyed the show. If you gained any value out of these timeless insights, please share the episode with a friend and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, do get in touch with us. Until next time, have a think about these insights and lessons. What could you act on? I'm going to be thinking about how I can be a better cheerleader for myself. So have a great week, whatever you're doing, and thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
I find my